Hey, welcome. This is Chuck Hogan with Your Best Life, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV Sticks, Roku and Roku Sticks, also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So, hey, we've got a treat for you tonight, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Chuck Hogan, your host, and I get to welcome a very dear friend, a brother from another, a man who has been a world influencer and a world changer. And I will say this, he is probably one of the people most responsible for increasing the wealth in the world. And that is because our Dr. Guillermo Navarrete, this PhD of nutrition and nutritional sciences, is literally changing lives by helping people increase their health and vitality. And there is no such thing as not being wealthy when you actually find your health and vitality. So please welcome him, my brother. Thank you, Guillermo, for being on with us tonight, my friend. It is so great to see you. And I just cherish the time I get to have with you. You know,
Chuck, it's a real honor. So I'm not saying this as the typical thing you say. It's a real honor. You have served so many, and I've seen you doing it, that just being here with you is pretty amazing. So
hey,
I'm glad and blessed.
brother, as I say, I pray I get to keep great company and it doesn't get better than you. So seriously, I want to thank you too. I know you're such a busy man and you give so much to the world. You have spent your lifetime up to this point, but you're going to live to be 150 minimum anyway. So we're just getting started. And so I look at you and I say, this is a guy who walks the talk. It's not just a matter of experimenting or espousing different people's hypotheses or different theories. You are someone who really puts into practice what he preaches. For you, your wife, your children, your community, and with other world leaders. And that's something that really flies in the face of today's kind of ecology, because so many people are looking for affirmations and to be the one that everyone likes. It's like they don't want to be the troublemaker. They just want to be the guy that, oh yeah, they say the best stuff, and oh yeah, that aligns with my life perfectly. And you're the guy that goes, no, it doesn't. No, you're like, okay, that sounds great on a Hallmark card, but that's not going to get you any healthier and help you feel more engaged in life. And so our show, YBL, is really about one thing, and that's how do we help empower the everyday man and woman who is looking at, gosh, Guillermo, I'm working a couple jobs. I am, working really hard, and I don't necessarily have time to eat as healthy as I'd like, or to eat as often as I would like, or to have the rituals that are going to feed my body, mind, and my spirit. And so I'd like to ask you a couple questions if you're okay with that.
Please.
Awesome, man. So for the guy or gal who's working two jobs, they have a couple kids, and they're saying, okay, Guillermo, I know I should be eating at least 3 times a day. What do you say to this person? Because we've had some philosophical talks about this, and you've given some science behind this, and I think people are going to be really intrigued to find out what the real answer is.
Well, I have some good news for that kind of people, because 1, you don't need to eat 3 times a day. 2, it doesn't need to be complicated to get in your best shape and in your best state when we talk about health. Health is something that we should have by default. It's not something that we should pursue. It's not something that we need to spend our time life going after. We should own. We should have health every day since we come to this world. The thing is, sometimes we lose that health, but this is our natural state. Our natural state is healthy. Yes. So if I have lost it, it's probably because I've been doing the wrong thing. So identifying what's the wrong thing is the key. People spend their entire life thinking, what should I eat? That's not the question. If you want to go to heaven, you don't think, what good thing should I do? No, that's not the question. It doesn't matter. As soon as you don't do the bad stuff. So you should wonder which stuff I should not be doing if I want to go to heaven.
You know what? That's very powerful, because isn't it true that people build bad habits. And so when we start talking about rituals, that's what we're talking about. What are your habits? Are you binge eating? Are you grabbing chips? Are you doing processed foods? Like, you've been so clear in that there are things there's two types of foods, right? The ones that fuel you, that fill you up, and the ones that take away from you. And it's like going, so which one do you want to put in your body?
And there's people saying, oh, there's not such thing as bad food and good food. Everything in balance. No. Of course there's bad food and good food. Of course. There's not everything in moderation. It's good to smoke in moderation. Maybe it's not as bad as smoking every day all the time, but don't tell me that smoking one cigarette a day just by the fact that it's not killing me is good for me. No.
Right.
So
that's like saying a little bit of arsenic is okay.
The thing is, a smoker will be probably protecting that idea because the smoker wants to smoke at least once a day.
Right.
And that happens with sugar. Sugar is the #1 driver for obesity, disease, and early death in the whole world.
Wow.
And if you could take sugar away from humanity, like when we got that 2 years ago that we had to be on our house and we had to say goodbye to a lot of stuff. Imagine that there was no sugar supply or no sugary foods for 1 year. That year, you could see at least 7 out of 10 diseases disappearing. 7 out of 10
I believe it.
Will go away forever if we can take sugar away.
And here's why. We are like the planet. When you stop polluting it, it gets clearer. They noticed that during COVID.
That's magic. I will steal that.
Oh, please. Well, think about it for a second. They saw deer in New York City, downtown New York City, for the first time in decades. They saw whales in the Hudson River that they hadn't seen in decades. Why? Because there was no pollution. There was no sound pollution. There was nothing that was changing the ecology of how your body can function, how the world can function. And I go, we're built the same way. We will heal if we give it the nutrients. And you said something brilliant earlier this morning, brother, and I just got to put it out there because it's the M, and that is when we're clear in our mentality and our meditation, and we slow down. We slow things. It's not speed things up. It's when we slow down, the dopamine levels, are put back in check, and our neuroreceptors aren't firing, constantly, and there's no inflammation because the sugar is not beating the heck out of us constantly. It's like, man, what a difference that it makes.
And in this case, the deer would be a diabetic, not being a diabetic anymore. Would be someone with high blood pressure, not having high blood pressure anymore. Someone with heart disease, not having heart disease anymore. Someone with lupus, not having lupus anymore. Someone with cognitive decline, not having cognitive decline anymore and being himself again or herself. Right. There's so many problems, metabolic problems, that has the root cause on sugar, bread, and the excess of carbohydrates, together with so many things that we will probably mention during this program. But just people need to know what's the main problem. If you know your enemy, you can win the war. If you don't know your enemy, how can you protect yourself and attack the enemy during a battle or a war? You can't. So the key is not what you should be eating. The key, if you want to recover your health or you want to live better or longer, is identify what you shouldn't be eating. And if you put enough attention on that, your life will change.
Where focus goes, energy flows, right?
Amazing. That's exactly it.
It is. And what ordinary things done consistently produce extraordinary results. We know this. These are universal laws. There's something else, though, that you had mentioned earlier today, and that really struck a chord with me. And it's not necessarily what you're eating. It's when you're eating it.
Oh, that has an amazing impact in your life. Think about it. Let's take the same diet and let's make it 3 times. So 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if you do it, let's say 7 p.m., 1 p.m. So, sorry, 7 a.m. breakfast, 1 p.m. lunch, 7 p.m. dinner. You're doing it on during daylight, right?
Right.
If you do that same diet, again, same dishes, same ingredients, same recipes, same anything. If you do that same thing, instead of 717, you do it like 10-3-10 or 9-2-9. The same diet will make you get thin or get fat. The same diet will make you get healthy or get sick.
Right.
Same diet, same ingredients, same foods, different time, you will get sick. Even if the food is healthy, you eat at night and you will get sick. Doesn't matter what you eat, you will get sick. Even if you eat shit, can I say shit? Okay, I want
PG programming.
Okay, so if you eat crap,
Yep.
is that better?
Yep.
If you eat crap, but you eat it during daylight,
Yes.
that will have less impact in your
Sure.
head. You eat crap at night, you need to pray because
you have a circadian rhythm. You have a rhythm. It's no different than the sun and the moon, and these universal laws have impacts. We've seen studies from people that work the night shift, like they are the night shift people. So their breakfast is our dinner. Their snack, lunch, is at 2-3 in the morning.
I see them all the time in my practice.
Yes.
Really, really, really bad, sick, and with a lot of metabolic problems. And when they tell me, what could I do? The first thing I tell them is change your job.
Yep.
If you keep doing that, you're going to die. I cannot do anything if you don't change your circadian rhythm. Because again, think about nature. Everything that we wonder ourselves as species, we have the answer on nature. We have the answer in some animals. This morning we had that example of dogs.
Yes.
What does a dog do when they are sick? They go to take sunlight.
Yep.
And they don't eat. So fasting and sunlight are also for us one of the main drivers of recovery from disease. And what do we do when we get sick? We get into our houses, we get into our rooms, and we switch the TV on, and we eat Netflix with a whole bunch of cookies and stuff around, and we get sicker.
Comfort food, right? You're like,
but listen, in a hospital, it's the same.
Yeah, sure.
If you go back in time, like 100 years, the recovery places on a hospital, on a big hospital, was the solarium.
Yes.
It was places where they put people, the sick people on the hospital, no clothes, naked, outside
to get sunshine.
And those, because they realized that the people that in that hospital were close to the window, they recovered faster and better than the ones that were far from the window. So they put them outside. We don't do that anymore. We don't even do it when we are at our own house. So that's the number one driver. So that's the number one thing. Look at the animals. How many animals do you see not sleeping at night?
Very few.
Try to wake up your dog.
Oh,
at 3 a.m. Even if you make it and you wake that dog up, it will last, 10 seconds? We'll go to another room and we'll sleep again.
Exactly.
They don't do Netflix. They don't do popcorn. They just sleep.
That's it.
And because that cycle is what we need to respect. If you respect the rules of your body,
yes,
your body will respect you and your life.
It's very interesting that you say that, because it's come down to that with EMF waves and electronic devices and phones being near the bed at night. And we actually cover all of our devices, like at nighttime. Anything that has a light that's associated to it, it gets blacked out. And it's so important.
Two things.
Yeah.
One, you should switch your modem, your router, your Wi-Fi at home completely off during the whole night.
Yep.
I even have one of those plugs that is an electronic thing that you can put a timing for switching on and off.
Yep.
And it switches off automatically every day at midnight. and on every day at 6 a.m., which is what I do.
Perfect.
So every day for 6 hours, internet is completely off.
Nice.
And my wife said, "What about the security cameras?" I don't care. Finally, I put them with the Wi-Fi of the neighbor. So there's always a way to do it, but please don't sleep with waves from the internet or electromagnetic fields around. Even that's the first thing. Wi-Fi and your phone completely off.
Yep.
I even put the phone on the bathroom. It
Nice.
never sleeps in my room. And second, everything that you plug in the wall in your bedroom should be off, unplugged.
Yes. Yep.
So if you call the electricity, and that's what you do when you plug something, it doesn't matter if it's your mobile phone or your night lamp or whatever, your whole room will get electricity on the walls.
Yes.
That is an emission that your brain, while you're sleeping, all those waves that your body create are not inside. Joe Dispenza demonstrates that your brain waves have a halo around you.
Yes.
So, and those waves are interacting continuously with the waves that you have around with your modem, your phone, your Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi from the neighbor, the thing you have plugged, because the cables inside the wall have a field also that interact with your field. So everything unplugged and everything off. And that's how you created a sacred space, because sleep is the number one thing that will make you a healthy person or an unhealthy person.
Yeah. I actually had a friend that slept in a isolation tank with, it was warm water up to basically shoulder level and their head suspended, but it was a completely EMF blocking tube. And so it kept their body temperature. And what was amazing about that, they said that for their deep REM sleep was remarkable. And for a couple of reasons. One, it was not electrical. Two, it was hydrating. And three, because the temperature of the water, I mean, basically it ran through a system that was away and the tubes ran back to this unit. Here's what was cool about it, though. It had mineral salts in it, like Epsom salt. It had other things, nutrients, and he would get up refreshed. And when he checked his timer, his actually like his aura ring, his deep REM sleep was remarkable, like 89-90% efficiency every night.
And that's something that everybody should do. Not the floating tank. That would be amazing if every single one of us could have one of those at our house.
Right.
But if you don't, probably like me, the wiser thing to do is always do what your ancestors did. That will never be wrong. If you ask me, did my ancestors have a flotation tank on the cave? Well, the answer is no.
Right.
Maybe they used the river for doing that. No, because the river will take you to a continent during the night.
It was a cenote.
What have we done? Well, in the cenote it should be great, but I'm sure that there's some stuff in the cenote that you don't want to find at night.
That's true too.
So the wiser thing to do what your ancestors did. What did our ancestors during sleep?
They slept
on the floor. Yeah. Being together, because you don't want to be isolated from EMF. You want the right EMFs.
Grounding.
Yes. Grounding is the right EMF. It's another electromagnetic field, but it's natural. We call non-ionizing radiation to those unnatural fields that we create as humans for the internet and all that kind of stuff, microwave. But the natural ones, you need to get exposed. Is the only way that you can be exposed to Wi-Fi, internet, your phone, and stuff during the day, and then you do like a balance of charge with the ground during night. But none of us are sleeping on the ground. You can do grounding and take your shoes off and spend 30-40 minutes a day grounded, or you can get one of those sleeping mats that gets you grounded because you connected to the plug. But even so, you need a filter between the plug and the mat. So the best thing to do is get one of those tents and
Yes.
go outside and sleep one of the days of the weekend, at least once a month. Get lost with a tent and sleep on the ground. Safe place, camping or whatever, and do it. You will feel amazing.
See, I always wonder, I'm from Japan originally, and whenever we visit my grandparents, we slept on tatami mats. And so you're on bamboo matting, you're on, maybe only a couple inch thick, natural bamboo with cotton stuffed, and you could feel the ground. But I used to sleep like a baby on this thing. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons why so many Japanese live so long, because they are rooted, just the way their houses are built, the way that they are designed, lots of
one of them.
Natural materials.
Yes. Another one is sunlight. Another one is the activity. And another one is the fish and meat intake.
Yes. Organic foods to a great degree as well. Like Okinawa is I think one of the largest blue zones in the world.
Yes. And if you compare all the blue zones of the world, they all are places on the ocean, over the ocean. So they all have sunlight and fish.
Yes. Yes. That really is amazing. I was thinking about that because I know you mentioned the Mediterranean diet earlier, and so that's a huge takeaway. Sleep. That's so. We told you we're going to give you things that you can leave tonight with that are going to be really, exceedingly important. So sleep is sacred. Write it down.
Same like the sun, both.
Yep, and the sun. So
sleeping the right time will allow you to get sun exposure at the right time, sunrise and sunset, and probably also in the middle when the sun is completely up. And having the right sunlight exposure will drive you to the right sleep.
That's beautiful.
If one day you wake up at the right time, like 6 a.m., you're exposed to the sunrise, you do whatever you want to do, you expose again at 1 p.m. Or let's say I put you in the mountains by yourself.
Right.
If you get exposed to nature and the ground and the whole natural environment for a whole day, you cannot stay awake till midnight. You will fall asleep at 8:30, 9 p.m. in that fire that you will do for, I don't know, getting hot. Well,
your body's looking for synchronicity, right? Your body's looking for the synchronicity. And when you're exposed to it, and is it, so I'm going to drop into behavioral sciences for a moment because this is so important to understand. So many times people are looking at what they can adopt. Like, give me a new strategy, give me a new SOP, give me some way of, standard operating procedure. And it's like, wait, to Guillermo's point, what if you just release? What if you were to allow yourself to let go and give yourself the freedom of not having this exchange of time for money and hours, and that your value is actually self-care in that moment, and that you take a day, maybe it's once or twice a month, to regain you, to reset you. It's kind of like your phone. If your phone starts wigging out, what's the first thing they tell you to do? Reset it. Do a hard reset, right? And then they're like, oh, I'm going to lose stuff. No, you don't lose you. The memory is still there. The experiences are still there. You're still the same person. The difference is you're getting rid of all the concussion, all the confusion, all the compression, and just
everything. Chuck, everything you eat during the day, your body make it pieces.
Yes.
Little pieces. And when you go to sleep, your body take those pieces and start working with them. And what the body does is new cells and new structures that you lost during the day. If you don't sleep, there's no way to repair what you broke during the day. There's no way to create new cells. There's not a way to create a new you when you're awake. Wow. Your new you for the next day is created while you sleep. Imagine those car races where the car goes round and round and round the whole race. Man, at some point you need to stop. And that pit stop is not negotiable. If you negotiate with the pit stop, you're going to end the race sooner because you're going to have an accident and you're going to get. Why? Because you need to do it. And when you go to the pit stop, you cannot do like oh, I'm almost stopped, but I will not stop completely. No, that's not how it works. You need to stop completely. That's REM sleep. That's deep
Yes.
sleep. You need to have enough stop, because that's when they can take the wheels and put new wheels and put the oil and put the gas when you are completely stopped.
Yes.
Your body does things during REM sleep and during deep sleep that it cannot be done during other phases. So you may be sleeping 8 hours and not getting enough sleep,
Right.
because those two phases are important. So it's so important what you said. You need to measure. You cannot improve or be better on something you're not measuring. The Oura ring, the Goop strap, and all those ways to measure sleep are pretty important. And there's one more thing that you cannot measure directly, but it's more important for health than any other thing we know right now. And it's not a threat that people identify as a threat. Artificial light
Yes.
is our number one threat in the year 2023. And people use artificial light like it's normal. It's not normal. Since we started using LED lights, you remember when you and me had, when we were children, when we had to change one of those bulbs that was like burning as hell?
Yeah.
That burning is from the infrared
Yes.
spectrum of the light, which is the only good thing about artificial light when we created artificial light. But they took it away.
Yes.
Now the bulb, you can manipulate it without getting burned.
No heat.
And it's because they took infrared away.
Right.
And that is what made artificial light dangerous for us. And we have been for 20 years and worsening our health because of the light exposure. At night, you should start switching lights off. I don't know if you prefer red lights, which are, there's a lot of people putting red lights on their house. I don't know. You can use candles if you want. Just please don't use artificial light at night, because it's the number one driver of insulin resistance, inflammation, and a whole bunch of problems, metabolic problems that will end up being a disease while you don't know what's going on. It's light.
And you bring up, that's a brilliant point, because it's something that people are trying to save money. People are trying to, they're like LED lights, but use very little electricity. And I go, okay, what if it's stealing the currency of your life energy? And is it worth it now? Like, because
you're paying a higher price.
That's it. But when we don't know what we don't know, it
can kill you.
It can kill you.
And you don't see it.
Yep.
Of course.
Oh, that's such a brilliant distinction. So
the same way there's good food and bad food.
Sure.
Good light and bad light. There's good EMF, bad EMF. That's why I was telling you, when we talk about nutrition, it's not just food. The body can nurture from light, and can nurture from EMFs, or it can get depleted of nutrients with the wrong light and depleted of nutrients with the wrong EMFs or the wrong food. And that's the key. Avoid the bad stuff.
Sure. It's interesting you say that. I do a lot of work with hospitals and with assisted living environments.
That's a source of bad food, bad light, and bad EMF.
Yeah, a lot of bad things all at the same time, brother. And
I don't know what you can do, but please don't end up in a hospital.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that when we start talking about nurturing yourself, my wife and I have talked about relocating near the ocean, because for me, salt water, sand, and to your point, the heat and just being able to be in that environment creates such a big shift in the way that I feel in my body. And it's like, it's natural if you're listening to yourself. It's natural if you are honoring oneself as well, because it's not about right or wrong. It's more about, how do you feel? And that's something that a lot of people don't take time to understand and appreciate. And that's what I loved what you said earlier today about meditation, because it's about, my experience of meditation is that it's not about having no mind. It's about actually focusing completely on your breathing, your heart, and literally letting go. So that way you're aware. To your point, it's almost an unconscious measuring that you have the connectivity, so that way now your energy is allowed to connect with everything around you as well.
You know that someone in the last century, a scientist, did an experiment with a dog. So they wanted to see, the dog was pretty sick. So it wasn't done in a healthy dog.
Okay.
But he wanted to see for how long would that dog live if they took the blood away and they replaced it with seawater. So they did it. And they started measuring how many hours the dog was about to live. And the dog made it for 24 hours. And then another 24 hours. And then another 24 hours. And the dog was actually feeling better than even before the experiment. And that dog never died. Well, it died for age, but not for the experiment.
Wow.
So it lived, I think it was like 8 or 9 years.
Holy
smokes. So that is an amazing way of knowing that the ocean, seawater, has the secret of life.
Yes.
And we are all coming from there. So if you move to one of those places over the ocean, you will have a reason or another reason for feeling great. The ocean has a lot of power. So when you get into the ocean, you don't need to drink the water. You don't need to drink the water to get hydrated. You need a shower, and your body can get water from your skin. You don't need just to drink water to have water. So minerals and a whole bunch of other things that the ocean has are pretty important for us. Just some of those things we still don't know. But if you eat, let's say, I don't know, oysters, clams, mussels, fish, anything that is coming from the ocean has a lot of power for us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, seaweed is remarkable.
I do prefer animals. I eat the animals that ate the seaweed. So,
right.
So I have the omega-3 from the animal source and not from the plant source. That's me. I know there's a lot of people.
No, and I can completely appreciate that. I was remembering back in a Japanese diet, because they'll have sometimes it's a combination of things.
And that's a great point. So for you that you're coming from that heritage,
right?
The right things are those, and for me that I'm from Spain,
right?
Maybe, and we don't have that algae. The good thing or the right thing can be another one. The same way that from different dogs you need to do different things. From different plants you need to do different things.
Right.
From one plant you need to put more water than the other. There are plants that doesn't even need water.
And to your point though too, ratios of consumption as well. You know, you don't eat like 10 pounds of seaweed. You eat just a little bit. It's a condiment. It goes along with. It's like ginger. It's like ginger with your sushi. You know, it's like, okay, there's things like you say that can be healing in teas and different things that are more medicinal. And then there's food, and they're not necessarily the same thing, but they live harmoniously. What do you say to folks when it comes to something, and you brought it up just a moment ago, water? It is so imperative, and yet we're seeing so many different things. There's recently something that just happened in one of the industries I'm involved with, where they finally, after a decade, decided to ban and outlaw polyfluorocarbons that were being used for soil and moisture repellents on commercial textiles. Now, people go, well, why should that be important, Chuck? And I said, because all the remnants that are left over from manufacturing, for seating that everyone sits on inside an installation that people are, involved with, that goes into a landfill. And when as they break down, polyfluorocarbons are going into their water table.
And not just that. There is a lot of contaminants. You remember that film from Erin Brockovich?
Yes.
From Julia Roberts called Erin Brockovich? Yeah. That was about one of those contaminants. That was the uh, uh, man.
Is petroleum companies that in California. Yes, Bakersfield and that.
Ugh, I have the name in Spanish, but I cannot make it to translate. It's cromo hexavalente. So hexavalent chromium.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the name. So you would be surprised that if anyone that is watching this can go to this website, ewg.com/tap water. EWG, Environmental Working Group,
Yep.
.com/tap water. There you can put your zip code,
Yep.
and it will tell you how many contaminants your tap water has that are above the limits. But they tell you what the limits are. It's not what the government tells me about the limits. Of course, right. The government will be pretty broad when with the limits, because right. they it's too expensive to fix some of those contaminants on the tap water. Right. And they do prefer to do it cheaper than to do it better for you. And it's not a secret. Man, this morning I was hearing a hearing on Senate, and there's one governor, an actual governor in the United States, in that hearing that was about child abuse. He was saying that they save $1.5 million. This is a little bit hard to hear. Sorry about that. If you're sensible, please get away for 1 minute. He was saying that they save 1.5 million every time a victim of a child abuse is a victim. So when the child dies, they don't have to spend 1.5 million to recover that child from the sex abuse. So they were talking about money, not about the children. Wow. And that's how a politician or some politicians think. So imagine if they do that with children, imagine with your water and you. So they want to save. So what this group does is they tell you the right limits, so you can know that hexavalent chromium, that thing with the Erin Brockovich film, is still there. Yes. And it's still too much in practically all the zip codes in the United States. Then is what you mentioned. So the ones you mentioned that are, sadly, they are everywhere. And that's why good nutritionists and good and modern healthcare practitioners are not recommending or endorsing vegetables, fruits, grains, and legumes anymore. You cannot tell me that vegetables and fruits are the key for health if they come with glyphosate and atrazine that will get into my body forever. So there's a huge health problem related to the soil.
Yes.
Because our health is in the soil. The same way it's in the ocean. We contaminate the ocean. It's like a suicidal, like a mass suicide. Yeah. The same thing with the soil. And we have been contaminating the soil with these agrochemicals for so long. In these three industries, the agrochemical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the food industry are together in pushing vegetables and fruits because it's what makes them make money. You will eat more times and more amounts. You will get sick more because it's contaminated with those pesticides. And it's the only way that they sell those herbicides that you eat and fruits. There's no herbicides for meat, fish, or eggs.
I love what you said earlier today. It's like, why is the Food and Drug Administration? It's like, shouldn't they be two separate entities? So there's a system of checks and balances. And
they're
the reason why they're kissing cousins, right? And that's because
one creates the poison, the other one creates the antidote.
That's it. And so it's this yin and yang relationship. Yep. And we have a responsibility to ourselves and our loved ones and to this beautiful gift called life to live our best life, to literally elevate ourselves. And water is one of the basics of this. So water purification on your water, the heads of your shower. If you have a reverse osmosis system, if you actually have a Kangen water filter, things that you can actually help dial in your pH as well. So you are getting the variety that you need. There was an interesting study done that if you actually alkalize the water in your Kangen water filter to the maximum level, it has a higher purification rate than disinfectants do, than bleach, than alcohol, than hydrogen peroxide, ammonia, quaternary phenolic cleansers, literally by using the pH enhanced water, but it needs to be used as it comes out of the spigot and then utilized to clean off the surfaces. Otherwise you lose ionization.
And probably there's someone thinking now, oh, but you said that we need to do the same thing that our ancestors did. The same way my ancestors didn't have a flotation tank, my ancestors didn't have a Kangen water filter or a whatever filter we are recommending people to put. Well, your ancestors didn't have to deal with pesticides and all the contaminants that we have right now. Your ancestors had a river flowing on their backyard and could drink from there, and that water was probably even better because
it was flowing through granite and minerals, and it was flowing through natural filters and salt beds. And I mean, it's yes, the answer is yes. We're finding remnants of everything. They're finding traces now, Guillermo, of silver ion in people's pathology. And it's because the industries, and what does that mean? So people go, well, like silver centrum. I said, you need a certain amount of minerals in your body. There's copper in your body, there's magnesium, there's selenium, there's silver. Haven't met too many people with gold in them yet. But
and they need to be in certain amounts.
Yes.
So when you measure the zinc, there's something called the copper zinc ratio.
Yes.
It's not, and you need that balance. If you don't have that balance, you have a problem.
Sure.
It's not the amount of minerals. It's the right amount for you to have that balance created. And that's important because why we recommend animal-based diet is because everything comes with the right nutrients. Because even if you give contaminants to those animals, they filter it. Their liver and their system filter those glyphosate, atrazine, chemicals, pesticides, even injections and vaccines and all those things, they filter it. So it will not get to you because they get the hit. It's not that I'm happy for that. I want them to have a great life too. But it's way wiser to do that than getting the vegetable with no filter and getting you the impact. That's why I was telling you, if there's mercury on the algae, I do prefer that a fish eat the algae and I will eat the fish with that thing filter at some point. So it's a tough time to be healthy. And the proof is that there's a study that we saw this morning saying, you can Google it, 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. And that's a huge problem. Some people tell me that because I live in ketosis all the time since 8 years ago, and I've been on a carnivore diet since 4 years ago, people call me a radical. But man, we are in a radical problem. We are in a radical world. We are in a radical situation. Do you think you can get out of a radical problem with other than a radical solution? No. Let me tell you, I've been trying for 20 years. Like, eat your veggies 5 times a day, every 3 hours. If you're, I don't know.
It's one of those scenarios. You don't want to be living with the status quo at this point, because what the world has pretty much resolved themselves to is a level of mediocrity.
Yeah.
They're working to just get by.
Yeah.
And I call that survival. That's not a thrive ideology. That is a survivalist ideology. And at that point, when people are in desperation, they will do things like buy cheap food. And I said, boy, the cost of what that is costing your body, it has nothing to do with the amount you paid for that Happy Meal. It has to do with the fact that how you'll pay later for eating that meal.
With another currency.
Absolutely. And the currency is way, way, way more valuable. You know, your life energy, your life source. What do you say to the person, Guillermo, that is looking to eat healthy in a carnivore diet? organic, grass fed? What are the guidelines that you utilize for making those determinations?
Great question. First of all, people that are like new to the carnivore diet may think that it's just eating meat the whole day. It's not that.
Right.
The carnivore diet is an animal-based diet. The same way you find a plant-based diet, it's an animal-based diet. So you can eat everything that comes from an animal, from meat, nose to tail, fish, shellfish, everything that comes from the ocean, eggs, and different dairy products, cheese, yogurt, kefir. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can eat. There's even something called carnivore-ish diet, which is the carnivore diet plus fruits and honey, which people love because people love the fruits. And fruit is not the problem as soon as you're healthy, probably. So
right.
The thing, jumping is not a problem as soon as you don't have a broken ankle.
Right.
That doesn't mean that jumping is bad for everybody, but we have 93% of the population with a broken ankle right now. So maybe the things that you need to do are different for the first 3 months than for the rest of the time. So first, get healthy, reverse inflammation, reverse the insulin resistance, reverse everything that makes you sick, reverse all the cycles that are making you have a poor quality of life. Then do other stuff. But first thing first. And having a carnivore diet is making a lot of people. You cannot imagine here in our clinic in Miami how many diseases we have seen getting reversed and people getting healed from conditions that they had for 20, 30, 40, 50 years with 1 week of a carnivore diet. We have seen for the very first time in history plaque getting back. People with 99% stenosis on the ICA, on the carotid, getting from 99 to 35% stenosis. So the artery actually getting back into a healthy state. We didn't see that before. Even on a ketogenic diet, that didn't happen, or that didn't always happen. Carnivore diet is the #1 tool for reversing a disease that has been going on for years. At least try. You will lose nothing for a month doing this. So wake up every day at 6, have your breakfast at 7, eat a couple eggs with bacon or meat or whatever has proteins and fat, healthy proteins and fat, and do it consistently. Then have a lunch, meat or fish at 1 p.m. and at dinner at 7 p.m. Again, meat or fish. If you don't know what to have for breakfast, I have a perfect solution here for you. It's my Nutri breakfast that it's the same. It's protein and fat is what you need for breakfast. You don't like to have breakfast? Get one of those, collagen, MCT, and coconut oil. That's perfect. It will push you the whole morning, not being hungry and being healthy. Do that for a whole month. And trust me, you will find a different life. Do that during daylight and get some movement. It doesn't matter. Don't go running because you will start using fat for fuel and not sugar. And that requires some adaptation. Don't go to the gym or you will feel depleted and you will feel like dying. You will think, oh, this is not for me. It's not that it's not for you. You don't do that while you are changing your energy source. So it's like quit smoking, you feel like crap, but it's not that quitting smoking is not for me. No, it's just a period. Just adapt it and then you will thrive.
It has to be in the right chronology so that way it creates sustainability as well, because your body's a machine and it needs certain things as well. Hey, I know we're coming up to the top of our time. 3 takeaways: sleep, imperative.
Quit sugar.
Carnivore. I'm sorry?
Quit sugar.
Yep.
Get good sleep and get the right light. That's probably making you reverse a whole bunch of symptoms and finding a way to start your best life. Of course, it will be better if you do it with a guide or some
Yes.
guidance. If you cannot do it this way, if you try and cannot make it, get some guidance. We can help you. But there's a whole bunch of people that are getting it right. We, even for professionals, we did a certification program in modern nutrition. So we are teaching professionals this because they are out of date. They are doing nutrition and healthy habits from 30 years ago. They are still telling people to use sunscreen. What do you mean sunscreen? I don't need to protect myself from the main energy source and the main healing force of the world. So good luck. Please do the right thing and don't forget to stop doing the wrong thing, because that's the key for health. If you need to rewatch this, please rewatch it until you get notes and you can apply things. Information is not the key. Applying the information, implementation is the key. So thank you, my friend, for having me here. And again, as I told you in the beginning, blessed to be here with you one more time. And I'll be here for you, whatever you need.
You know what? We were going to have you back because I know we just opened the floodgate just a little bit. And so thank you, Guillermo, for being on and blessing us with your talents. We're going to make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of you. I'll make sure it's posted on all of our social media as we reframe this and we get it out to the universe. For everyone else, the show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out for all the news and all the programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.